Please join me for Ask the Good Doctor, live today and every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Central Standard Time, and 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bring your questions.
On my YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. And please, if you could, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Yes. Ask the Good Doctor, LaJoyce Brookshire. Like, comment, and subscribe. Good afternoon. Welcome to Ask the Good Doctor. I'm Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire, and I am here to help you attain, maintain, and reclaim your perfect health. Please join me on Twitter at Ask the Good Doc and on Instagram and Facebook at Ask the Good Doctor. I'd love for you to jump in with us right now on this conversation. And please, if you haven't already, stop what you're doing and click that like button and that subscribe button on my YouTube channel. Hey. Yes, I am so excited to have back with us once again the gentlemen who are going to talk to us all about sustainability. As you know, we have had the conversation with Mr. Carl Tutt, the CEO of Integrating Green Technologies, and Sterling Laylock also. Hello, gentlemen. Welcome back.
Hello, Dr. LaJoyce. How are you?
I am well and so happy that you are here. Just we'll let the audience know that these gentlemen are going to be joining us once a month until we plow through every one of the sustainability issues that matter for our lives, especially in this country. And so today, of course, they are back, and what is top of mind is re-entry into buildings. Now, this is a conversation we started before. Yes, gentlemen?
Yes, it is.
But we need to take a deeper dive. See, this building well health safety check is so vitally important for all of us that we need to really have a thorough understanding about it. And I'm pleased to report that many people wrote to me and asked for the letters to give to the schools or to a building that you all provided. So thank you so much for that. This audience is interactive always. So any tools that you may have, just let us know about them and we'll be glad to provide them. And all you have to do is email me and I'll be glad to let you know. So, gentlemen, what is it that we should be most concerned with right now as things start opening up more that have been closed?
Well, we want to get into that, definitely. But I think we want to do a little bit of a history lesson.
Please do.
Because you think about it, a lot of people don't know anything about sustainability development goals. Mm-hmm. They haven't heard the phrase.
That's right.
They don't know what it means and how it's connected to everything that we've been doing, but it's more emphasized now because more people are more engaged in making sure that we're moving in the right direction. But when you look at sustainable development goals, you got to go back over 3 decades.
That far?
Oh yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
We were talking about greenhouse gas emissions. That's what they were talking about back in the early 90s.
Remember that.
And there was this protocol that was out there called the Kyoto Protocol.
Mm-hmm.
That was established through the United Nations Convention. And there were not all the United Nations countries participated in it. And actually the United States did not participate in it. Probably because, the United States was more into coal at that time and did not want to disrupt what was going on from an economic standpoint in the United States. And actually, when Bill Clinton came into office in 1997, he had a chance to put it on the table, but he felt that he couldn't get it passed. And so he did not pursue it. So it wasn't until we got to President Obama where the Sustainable Development Goals, the cliche term started coming up. Okay. This is when he got involved and he participated for the United States to get this going. But he was still going through barriers to get the country to participate. as other parts of the world were moving along at a good clip to create change. And for a lot of people, in the world, the Kyoto Protocol did very well.
Uh-huh.
Their benchmark from, I want to say from 1990 to 2012, they want to have about a 4.7% impact on CO2 emissions.
Uh-huh.
They far exceeded that by double digits.
Wow.
And so it did do well, but now we got to get to the other aspects of connecting beyond CO2. What's the impact of CO2? Because what they were looking at specifically was climate change primarily.
Now, and that's what I know, that greenhouse gases, when they first came to our attention, they came to our attention as the cause of climate change and being the problem.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. And so that's why their sole goal was, how do we impact climate change?
Right.
And they said their belief was CO2 emissions was the major factor impacting climate change. So let's go after that. But there's also unintended consequences of CO2 emissions.
Yeah.
And so that's when you start getting into the Sustainable Development Goals.
Okay. Now, what is it that's most imperative in this little, thank you for that little history lesson. It's a big history lesson, actually. And has America learned yet, Carl?
No.
How did I know that was coming?
Simple answer, no. But you have more people that are starting to realize that we have to do something. You listen to folks saying, if we don't do something, we're about to burn up.
Or glow in the dark.
So we have to do something, and it needs to be now, and we have to be more focused on what the total changes that need to take place in our country.
Okay.
And so the Sustainable Development Goals will help us get there. And the Sustainable Development Goals were established. It was a 44-member committee put together by the United Nations to put this together. And in September of 2015, it was put to a vote. And all 193 countries of the United Nations agreed to this. And these 17 goals, which within these 17 goals also have 167 targets within the 17 goals. And that's to have a major shift in what we do around the world.
I have a big question. Since you say that America hasn't learned yet, tell me, what country is closest to attaining the 17 and the 167?
There's only one.
Which one is that?
Go ahead, Sterling.
So you have to go to Asia.
Uh-huh.
You got to skip over China, right? And they are actually the country that came up with what they call the, instead of gross domestic product, they have gross national happiness.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we say, okay, gross national happiness. Because what they figured out is that if people are happy, they're healthy. But they really be truly happy. Not just happy because we don't have any choice.
Yeah. So
the king of Bhutan actually came up with this.
Bhutan.
Bhutan. Bhutan.
Okay.
And you can visit there, but you'll have a chaperone during the whole trip.
Why? Because
they really don't want you bringing mess to their country. So,
do you blame them?
No, there's society, and you have to stay in certain hotels, and you get to go to certain places. It's a beautiful country.
I bet it is.
And they do things in a certain way. And when you
Wow.
fly there, you have to be a special caliber pilot because of the difficulty of how you have to go through the mountains and everything and land at the airport. It's a very interesting country. Very interesting, fascinating.
Wow, that's fascinating. And so they have implemented the 167 targets. They have attained the 167 targets and have implemented the 17 SDGs.
A little word about the targets. So, of course, and Carl was kind when he said, yes, and the 193 nations all agreed to it. They never have agreed to anything where all countries agree. So this is the biggest monumental milestone about this, is that all countries agreed, and they never all agree on anything.
Wow.
So as a function, you have those targets because you take the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and then you apply them to your country, to your town, to your state, to your business as appropriate, because there'll be some things that'll be important in some instances, and then in other places they don't apply. So they have all of these places for you to fit and then customize.
Right.
When you listen in the media, when they talked about it, when the former President Trump, which I don't say that much, but former President Trump backed out of the Paris Agreement.
Right.
People didn't realize the Sustainable Development Goals are the meat of the Paris Agreement, and that's what we're supposed to be following.
Okay.
But they made it sound like, oh, it's not going to be fair to the U.S., but it's a non-binding agreement. There's no sustainability jail, there's no sustainability penalties or anything. You just need to start following it.
Yes.
So it was all a bunch of puffery and smoke. And now this is why we have to really catch up.
Okay.
So you think about it. So you think about this too. We signed the agreement in September 2015. You then had the election in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
During that time in that administration, they weren't talking about anything from a sustainability standpoint. And actually, there were attacks on the federal EPA.
Mm-hmm.
And so no one was talking about sustainable development goals at a high level.
There
were discussions in some of the lower levels, and we can get into that later on in the discussion, because there are companies out there that still adopted sustainable development goals, even though they weren't being discussed on a national
right. But what's that saying that I don't do it because it's right, even though it is. I do it because it's good. It's just good because it's right.
That's right.
It's right. That's
Well,
right.
you see that now politically with the corporations and then the U.S. Department of Commerce with the voting. They're going, this is bad for business. We're going to do things in the right way. We're going to do the right thing. We're going to do it in the right way.
Right.
But now, if we come from the 50,000 feet to 25,000, now we're going to come down to about 5,000 feet where everybody can see the plane, and say, these sustainable development goals, what does it mean to me?
That's right. Tell us.
It means that if you don't have climate that is conducive, you're going to have food shortage problems.
Come on.
Because you will not get the precipitation, as in rain, so you can farm.
Mm-hmm.
I once said to someone, you have to be very concerned about water. There's enough of it, but it may not be where you need it, because water is very heavy. And the person said, well, I'll just drink Coca-Cola. And I said,
I have a good story to tell you about that. It's dangerous. No, I'm not.
I said, well, you could do that, but the Coca-Cola is going to kill you. But then at the same time, it's 95% water. Mm-hmm. And then people start thinking about taking a shower. They start thinking about all these things. But you have to be so concerned with water, because the real reasons we need it has nothing to do with drinking water. You got to have food. You have to be able to sterilize things at hospitals. There's no magic chemical. It's heat and water. Mm-hmm. So now you got poverty problem because you have a food problem, And then you have sanitary and disease problem because you have a water problem. So all of these things start to culminate, and people think, oh, well, the temperature is too high. It'll be hot. I'll just stay in the house or turn on the air conditioner, which creates more greenhouse gas.
Yes.
And everything. People think, oh, well, somebody else is supposed to do this. No, we are.
That's right.
And we're supposed to demand it. And we're supposed to spend our money with those who are environmentally and sustainably responsible, because it's not just about energy efficiency.
This is what's called our collective responsibility.
Collective responsibility, 100% right. And just to be aware that if you can buy this one, you buy this, set of sheets for your bed or towels for your house, and you know that it comes from a place and really not following any rules, they're farming and stripping the land, etc. You need to find one that is responsible. And all the big companies are realizing that the average person is aware of this. Even, we started with Whole Foods supermarket.
Yeah.
Now you have all supermarkets trying to take out dyes and artificial this and that. They're trying to really do it right and to have it in normal products
Yes.
And we have to spend accordingly. Otherwise, businesses won't continue to invest to bring us the products and services that are necessary to be more responsible on the planet.
Okay. Now you asked the best question ever. What does this mean to me? That is the good one, the one you just defined. Why else should we be so concerned about these SDGs?
Well, because if we don't know about them, we could be doing things to make matters worse.
Yes.
So, for example, let's suppose for a moment you're going to add an addition onto your home because of COVID, and now your mother-in-law is going to live with you. And you have space, but not really. So you want to kind of put what they're calling accessory dwelling units or an addition onto your home.
Mm-hmm.
And the cheap way to do it is simple concrete cinder blocks and concrete and plaster the walls and put some heat and some air and some water in there with a bathroom and say, okay, grandmama, there you go. Well, when you start to understand the use of concrete and how much pollution it emits to make concrete.
What?
Oh, it's tremendous. Tremendous. It's responsible for 7% of the greenhouse gas emissions in the world by itself, just concrete.
So we call that environmental degradation.
Right. And the reason is because of the amount of heat that has to be produced in order to process all the raw materials to make it into concrete, and all the mining that you have to do to get the raw materials. And then there's another part of it that people don't realize. There is a huge black market for sand.
Yes.
Sand is consumed. Sand consumption is only second to water.
In the world.
We consume more sand than oil.
Get out of here.
Yep.
Well, come on, think about it. We're on the show right now, and we're on laptops or iPad. It takes sand to make that screen. It takes sand to make eyeglasses. So people don't realize the uses of sand, but it takes almost 60% of the context to make concrete.
Is sand.
That's sand.
Wow.
But there's places in the world where whole islands are missing. The sand monsters come in the middle of the night, suck out all the sand from small islands, and cart it away, never to be seen again.
What? But when the water comes again, it will bring more, yes?
Sort of. Because once you get rid of an island, now that water current is just going to keep going to the next coastline.
Oh.
Now, most people say, well, can't we just like go to the Sahara Desert? There's plenty of sand there.
It's different sand.
Well, it's a different sand because that sand was created as a function of air current. But when you have sand in water, it is water current. So now the edges are jiggity jaggedy so they can compact together. Whereas the air sand is round and it won't compact into anything.
Whoa.
So when you look at places like Dubai and all these places, they import sand from around the world to make those islands and the different things that they have there. The man-made islands are all that way.
What you say? So is sand then beneficial to use versus concrete?
60% of concrete is sand. This is the problem. And there's not enough sand for everybody to have bridges and roads and factories and all these things. And all these countries now are building up and growing faster, way faster than we are.
Yes, yes.
So to give you a statistic, China in a 3-year period used more sand than all the sand that was in the concrete for the entire interstate system of the United States of America.
Whoa.
In 3 years, they did that.
That's how much they're building.
That's how much they're building.
Oh.
So you take every expressway in America, built since, the 1950s and Eisenhower and all that stuff.
Wow.
China used more sand in a 3-year period than all those roads combined.
That's amazing. What can we do to ensure that we're going to be here? That if we don't maintain our natural resources, that we're really going to be in trouble. Now, I know I'm asking a loaded question, but I want to just streamline just a bit because we can be kind of all over the place.
Sure.
I want people to walk away with something that they can do, some action plans. I want the audience to have something tangible about where we're living right now in terms of what we can do and what we need to be mindful of as we enter back into workplaces, school places, and just buildings that have been closed. I know we talked about Legionnaire's disease.
Yep.
But I'm going to shut up and let you go.
Let's think about at home, because we've been in the house now for extended period. Folks are starting to go back out, but then you're still spending a lot more time at home. So if you look around your home and look at things that you can do that are easy to do now. 10 years ago, if you changed all your light bulbs from regular light bulbs to LED light bulbs, it was expensive. Now it's inexpensive. That's something people can do.
Cheap.
And if they say, well, I don't really have the money to do it, that's a choice, and it may be true. So then you just simply go online and find your utility, your electric utility, because they have programs where in some states and some cities give you LED lights.
They give them to you and fluorescent lights. Now, can I make a comment about that?
And they're not really giving it to you.
What they're charging you later.
You're paying for it. You just don't know you're paying for it.
You don't know
it's in your bill.
I believe that.
So if you don't ask for it, you pay for it.
I want to push back a little bit. I want to push back on LED lights and on fluorescent lights specifically. I just had this conversation with my class today because a girl gave a speech on sustainability and climate change and global warming. So the issue that I have is that some sustainability things are excellent for the environment, but they're terrible for us.
That's right.
2 good examples are LED and fluorescent lights, because they're both dirty power. And we sit under fluorescent lights all of the time in public places. There's no way to avoid it. But the last place that we should be sitting under fluorescent lights is at home, because the fluorescent and the LED lights suck our vitamin D. Now, how in the advent of fluorescent lights and LED lights becoming the good thing for the environment, and with electric companies, when you move to a new place, especially in the Northeast where I live, when you move to a new home or a new apartment, the electric company sends you a gift box with a surge strip, with LED lights, with fluorescent lights that you're paying for, right, Carl? You're probably right for that. But nobody asked for that. Because how did we end up with a nation that is vitamin D deficient? What one thing can we point to? And that one thing can be fluorescent and LED lighting. Now, I'm going to go one step further. I want to challenge you all, because the one thing that I know that I don't want in my house, I don't want anything that has a warning label on it in my home. Not cleaning products, not lighting products, not food. Believe it, there's some food with warning labels on it. That spray oil, that and all that stuff has a warning label on it. Don't you dare consume anything.
Talking about that thing that starts with a P? Is that what you're talking about?
Because the same active ingredient is what they use in Rain-X for your windshield of your car.
And you put that stuff on your food.
And you put it on your food. That's right.
But the point that I'm making is I don't want anything in my home that has a warning label on it. And if you break a fluorescent light, they give you instructions on how you need to evacuate, how you need to clean it up, and how you have to leave windows open, not just a door, but a window to the outside to get fresh air for at least 1 hour. I'm thinking, are you kidding me?
No,
it's because it has mercury. And then on top of that,
correct.
When people throw them away, they just put them in the regular trash. If you take a single fluorescent bulb, you could break it and throw it in a lake that is 10,000 acres, and it's going to ruin the whole lake, that one bulb.
Oh, my God.
Now, I found out in this deficiency of vitamins and minerals and nutrients, there's always going to be trade-offs. There's always trade-offs. Because it's just like anything else. They phase out the stuff, and after a while, you can't get an incandescent bulb. They won't even sell it to you in the store.
Right.
So
here's a source, 1000bulbs.com. Okay. 1000bulbs.com. Regular incandescent light bulbs, $1.11 each. There you go. Go ahead, Sterling.
Now, what you can do is what I was gonna segue to. Number 3 in the Sustainable Development Goals is good health and well-being.
Yeah.
Right. And none of these things, there's no magic bullet. You have to balance it out. So, for example, I learned that magnesium was a serious deficiency that people had.
Yeah.
Right? And then when you start looking at the foods that are high in magnesium, you either have to eat a whole lot of charred greens, like a balefull, or you have to have, a halibut fish steak, which is very expensive. So then you have to say, okay, how am I going to get this magnesium? You have to do the same with the vitamin D. How are you going to get it? Because let's say you have no LED, right?
Yep.
And it still didn't solve the problem of the vitamin D deficiency. So you have to look at how you're going to deal with that. How are you going to do that? And to know these unintended consequences, because if you do something, there's always typically some unintended consequence. Yes. But we have to be aware of those things. Sure. And you say, you're going to round up saying, okay, we got to manage the lesser of two evils. So if we have this bad thing that's going to happen, we still have to manage it. Now, if we are at our home as well, we can stop buying products that pollute the most to make. So we need to start to understand how things are made. That we
I want you to pause right there, because I want to get deeply into that on the other side of this break.
Okay.
Stop buying things that pollute the most when made.
Yep.
Wow. So don't go away. When we come back, we're going to answer that question on the other side of this break with Carl Tutt and Sterling Laylock after this. Hello, Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire here today to tell you about something amazing, and it is all for the benefit of your perfect health. I would like to introduce you to Virustan. It is a natural botanical spray that kills up to 178 pathogens dead, including COVID-19. Yes, it does. All you have to do is spray it in the air, spray it in your mouth, put it on your finger, put it in your nose, pinch your nose together, and voila. Because the entry point, of course, of COVID is through the mouth, through the nose, through the eyes, or even through the ears. You can spray this spray onto the surfaces of anything. You can also spray them on your hands. You can even safely spray it on your face. So get yourself some Virustan from the Igalen Company, igalen.net/Dr. Brookshire. The other product I'd like to introduce you to is Genesee. Genesee is from Lake Klamath in Oregon, and it is the world's #1 source of blue-green algae, and that is so healing and soothing for the body. This Genesee, just one little pouch of this daily, helps to repair and rebuild your stem cells, because if the stem cells are damaged, then your health is in need of repair. So one pouch of Genesee per day. The last thing is called Uncarb. Uncarb is just a little capsule with oh so many goodies in it that help the body to not absorb up to 50% of sugar. It is amazing. It is helping people who are insulin dependent to come off of insulin. It is helping the diabetic to reduce their diabetic numbers, because the one thing that we have discovered after the pandemic is that the second pandemic is diabetes. So you can uncarb your body with this product from igalen.net. Grab some, one of them or 3 of them today. Bye. Welcome back to Ask the Good Doctor. I'm Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire, and we have been enjoying a conversation with Integrating Green Technology CEO Carl Tutt and Associate Sterling Laylock. And just before we went to break, Sterling dropped the bomb on us and said that we can increase our sustainability knowledge or participate in accomplishing sustainability right in our homes by first being mindful of not purchasing products that cause the most pollution. Yes?
Correct.
That's right.
When they're made. Yes. Okay. Say more, Sterling.
So we look at the Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainable Development Goal number 12 is responsible production and consumption, right? So when we look at things, we need to make sure that we have third-party verification that the items are safe and that they have been made responsibly and that they are preferably not going to cause harm. So for example, there are several products, like say if someone is going to replace the flooring in their kitchen.
Yeah.
And they want some kind of hardwood floor, but they don't go for a traditional hardwood floor. They want some kind of, engineered flooring.
Laminate.
Some laminate. How was it glued together? Are you bringing formaldehyde into your house?
Ooh.
Because what happens is after time, these glues and adhesives off gas.
Yeah.
And that's entering into your indoor environmental quality.
Which is why you should choose something for your floor that interlocks, yes?
That's right. And if you don't check it out, you're buying something that's making a problem for you downstream. And you also want to look at the company and how the company functions. Are their facilities sustainable? Where are they getting their energy from? Are they getting energy from renewable sources, et cetera? When we travel, if we go in a hotel, what is the story? What's the situation? Because now what we're doing is we're funding those who are resistant from operating responsibly.
Okay, now who are the sustainability police that create and maintain these lists to tell consumers stay away from these people?
Well, one of the most notable marks is what's called Green Guard and Green Guard Gold from Underwriters Laboratory. So UL is worldwide. They've been around over 125 years, I think 127 years. And they have facilities where they test all of these products, like something as simple as a mattress.
Mm-hmm.
Someone smokes, the mattress catches on fire. They say, oh, we have a flame retardant. Well, all flame retardants don't operate the same way.
Yeah.
You could effectively have it squelch the fire, you put the fire out, but that gas that came as a result of it being in a flame situation is very, very toxic. So you need to understand these things need to be tested. And if they carry certain certifications, then you know that they are as safe as they can be. Not 100% safe, but as safe as they can be. If you just get one that feels good when you lay down, it could be off-gassing things while you're sleeping. You won't know because you just relied on the manufacturer, and they don't even make claims about those things.
Okay, so organic mattressing then is best.
Yes.
Okay, and pricey, so save your money. Now, we started this conversation, and I don't want us to run out of time because we're going to have to go on time today. I want us to get to, Carl had mentioned to me right before coming together, that we really have some things we must discuss about getting back into buildings that we haven't discussed before. Carl, what are those things that we need to know?
Well, we put a lot of attention onto PPE, personal protection. So you look at gloves and masks and shields and those types of things. And those things are important. But we need to also talk about the physical space that you're in, the building that you're in.
Right.
And for many of these public buildings that are out here, there's really no discussion or what I would call just evaluation to determine whether those buildings are fit to be occupied right now. And so going back to what Sterling was talking about, as far as having a third-party verifier, if you want to create confidence and trust in the people, you have to put things in place so people can feel comfortable about the space that they come into. One of the things that we talked about with the school systems, as a parent, you want your child to come back home the same way that they left.
That's right.
And what is it that institution is providing to me to ensure that that's happening? We have put things on the table with various universities, colleges, K through 12 schools. These are things that you need to be putting in place to ensure that the air that's in those rooms or in that facility is safe for everybody around. It does not mean that, okay, now you can take off your mask. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is we want to create an environment where at least things have been minimized, and that the opportunity for you to get a disease is minimized. Those are things that we need to start talking about even more. And it's not enough for us to talk about it. We need parents to start demanding it. Okay.
To know what those things are.
Yeah. And so we want to provide education. And that goes back to what you talked about, Dr. LaJoyce, sending you information on what parents need to be asking for. Because right now, many parents don't know what to ask for. And Dr. You're on mute right now. But we need to send that to you so that you can educate your viewers so they can start asking those questions.
Tell us some of the things that we need to ask.
One thing that people need to get their arms around is when you deal with indoor environmental quality, and especially air, everything was done based on calculations. right? So the calculations are an estimate, but you need to know. We need to really know. So in order to know, and I'll give you a simple way to understand why the calculations are a guide, but they're not the whole story. And one of the things that parents need to get their arms around, and why they're listening more now, because remember in the beginning, they said, oh, well, don't worry about the children. They don't get COVID that much, and they don't spread COVID that much. Well, guess what? Now everybody's understanding that's not true. And if you ask the doctors and the emergency rooms, the percentage of young people is through the roof. Okay. So when you look at controlling indoor air, it's all about airflow. And when you look at the airflow, it is based on calculations. Those calculations then specify a machine. And then you've got to have air ducts running all through the building, which is the highway system, to get the air to where it's supposed to go and to condition the air properly. The challenge is, did they install the air ducts correctly? And was the original design of those air ducts optimized to get the best performance out of the machine? Before now, there was no way to know that. But we have a technology that we're able to take a food grade material, we can aerosolize it and cause it to mimic the coronavirus or the bird flu or whatever you want. And then we infuse it with DNA and spray it in the air. It's just like if because I have COVID, and then you turn on the HVAC system and we're able to track exactly what's going on with the airflow. We can say, when I coughed, how long did it take for the HVAC system to get that out of the air? Where did it go? Did it get stuck up there in that northeast corner? Did it flow the way it's supposed to properly flow? And this technology, we learned in our collaborative efforts with Underwriters Laboratory and one of their preferred vendors. And there's a march across this country to put this technology in K through 12, put it to the test, and then universities. Because what it will do is cause the recommendations that are necessary to make the air as safe as possible be driven by exactly what the current conditions are, known technically as a characterization study. And then you have your recommendations. They said, okay, go from MERV 8 to MERV 13 filters, right? Well, guess what? That might work and it might not.
That's right.
You may be better off with an air purifier and a fan in a room with a window. But once you do what we're talking about with this aerosolized material that mimics the behavior of a COVID or any other kind of many other viruses and pathogens, you'll know exactly where in the room to put the air purifier.
Okay.
So you put it in the wrong place, it won't be it could be a dramatic improvement in the effect of where the air purifier is placed. And of course, we talked in the past about specifying the right size and having one that has the right efficacy.
That's right.
Before these folks start spending all this stimulus money, they need to have a baseline understanding of what will work and what won't work. If you do it based on calculations, I could do something as simple as change the operating hours of that department or that room at a university, or I could convert a music room into a reading room and have a different number of students in there at a time, and those calculations go out the window. Because of course, we're trying to protect ourselves from the virus that spread from ourselves.
Now, this seems to be the work that needs to be, they need to be undergoing with these things right now. These things need to be happening now.
That's where you start.
Are these things happening now, guys?
In the places in universities and school systems that we have spoken to, they all are making the forward movement to advance forward in doing it, but everyone doesn't know about it.
See, this is the problem. Okay, pause. Because your company is the first of its kind that I know about. You're in this industry. Green technologies has been around for a while. Sustainability has been around for a while. How many companies are effectively conveying this to buildings that our most beloved will be entering back in, our children?
Many more are now, because everyone understands the importance of the indoor environmental quality, and especially the air, and that the virus is airborne. The challenge has been people took sustainability and being green and made it synonymous with energy efficiency. That's the problem. And really, there's a balance between safety, health, and comfort and energy efficiency that has to be had. And how do you balance? Like, for example, CDC says, bring in more air from outside to dilute the air to help with the virus.
Right.
Okay, but how much? Should it be 10%? Should it be 15? Should it be 25? Should it be 30? And what's going to happen with my energy bill? Because now I got to assess these trade-offs and have a reasonableness to these trade-offs. This technology we're talking about will help you get there really quickly and in a low-cost fashion. You'll waste way more money than this technology costs just calculating or guessing at it, because it's building science with the calculations. So now you'll know what you'll be calculating, and you do it pre, then make your improvements and do it post. And this is something that people can do in businesses and schools, all forms of buildings, and you can do it periodically. You do it annually, so you see where you are. So now the next time we have a problem, you can get your air under control, because there will be a next time. There are it's just like a hurricane. All of the tropical storms don't turn into hurricanes, but there are hundreds of them out there. And there are viruses and pathogens that, because we have operated in places and tear down rainforests and do things in places we shouldn't, things are not in their natural ecosystem. And the unintended consequence is things like COVID-19. And there are more COVID-19s than they're telling us about, because we already have deer in the headlights for what we're dealing with today.
Correct.
Come on, Carl. What were you about to say?
No, I was going to say the same thing with what Sterling is talking about. The things that we're talking about put in place will also help you to make things more efficient as far as spending your dollars. Also allows you to save dollars to put into other projects that you didn't think you had the opportunity to do. And so we have to think about all the various aspects of creating change. And it's more than one thing. That's why we always say there's no silver bullet, just like there's no one company that can give you everything that you need. You need various companies to come in to make things right. And we're in a position where we collaborate with many of those companies to bring this to the forefront. So you really know how to move forward.
Now, you want me to tell the secret, Carl, about the Sustainable Development Goals?
Yes, I do want you to tell me the secret.
Well, people hear sustainability, then they think environmental, then they think energy efficiency, they think these things.
They think construction. They think it's construction.
They think it's construction. Some people say, oh, well, it's socialist because now everybody's going to, I don't know, give away free stuff or whatever they're going to do. And the reality is, it's those things, but it's really economics.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
This is about capitalism. Capitalism is win or don't win for the people who fight for jockey for position all day. But when you're really big, that's when you get socialism, because you're what they call too big to fail. And then they just give you bailout money so that you can stay in business again, right? I mean, that would be nice.
Yeah.
I would like to have an 80,000 square foot warehouse with 15 acres that I just get for free because I'm in something that they want, but they don't do that. I'm on a stadium, so I'm going to move my team if you don't give me 200 and 300, 500 and 800 million dollars for a stadium, right?
Come on.
But here are the elements really that make up the Sustainable Development Goals.
Okay.
They are cultural because they're worldwide. So you got mores, folkways, tradition, culture. Right. They are social because we're talking about schools, public schools, libraries, military, police, first responders that all helped everybody in the COVID.
Yep.
Those are social programs benefiting everyone. And those who want to get rid of social programs need to put out their own fire when their house or their business is burning down. Don't call the fire department.
No, he didn't.
And a fire extinguisher and have at it by yourself. Then there is the economic. So let's back up. Cultural, social, economic, environmental, and technological. So those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas must use the Sustainable Development Goals and those targets to come up with a balanced equilibrium and a mechanism to know when things are off track to get back on track.
Yes.
Because it is really the new way that economies are going to work.
Now who is policing them? The communities.
Well, there are major investment companies that are out there that are pushing Fortune 500 and Fortune 1000 companies to do the right things.
And globally as well.
Now, when you start looking up major companies like Walmart or McDonald's, something like that, they all coming out with these different reports. Some of them are called social responsibility reports. Some of them are called sustainable development reports. They're not doing that just to do that. They're doing it because somebody's watching them.
Who's the somebody? Who's watching?
One organization.
Who are the watchdogs?
One organization that we know of that's one of the biggest investment companies in the world is watching them and making statements about whether they're doing the right things or the wrong things. And that's called BlackRock.
So their CEO put out a letter in, I think it was January of last year. And it says, we are the fiduciary for our clients. Yes, we have $8 trillion we manage. But for the first time ever, they said, but it's not our money. You know, when you listen to financial companies, they say, oh, we have this much money. It's not
so BlackRock is a financial company.
Yes. It's a financial investment company. They're the largest in the world, over $7 trillion in assets.
Yeah, kind of closer to 8.
Yeah, probably close to 8 now. When you go to their website, they have a website that talks this, and the report talks specifically about the transparency that they want to see in organizations. And when they don't see that, they're basically telling you not to invest in those companies.
Let me give you a handle on some of the things they're saying. They're saying we're the fiduciary. They're saying most of the money we manage is for retirement and for individuals and pension and beneficiaries like teachers, firefighters, doctors, and business people. Okay?
Responders.
Then they go on and they say, it is their money we manage. We do not own this money. It's theirs. So in other words, you at your house, it's your money. Okay? The trust our clients place in us and our role as the link between our clients and the companies we invest in gives us a great responsibility to advocate on your behalf. So in other words, if you're not doing things that provide proper capital management, long-term strategy, purpose, as it results in climate change, we can't give you no money.
Wow. Okay.
And that is the linchpin. My background, behavioral economics, finance, all that. And I knew this more than 20 years ago.
Wow.
I saw a green building, and I saw sustainability, and I saw all these things, and I didn't see any investment people. And I saw limited numbers of engineers. That has all changed. The engineering firms are becoming more sustainable now.
Yeah.
And Wall Street is becoming more sustainable now.
Yeah.
And they're going, okay, well, they call
Well,
it.
they're following the money. This is the new trend, like you said.
That's it. That's it.
Following the money.
But it's because more people are doing what we were saying you need to do at your house. Don't buy that stuff with the crazy glue in it. Mm-hmm. Don't buy things from companies that are polluting and wasting energy and doing these things. So now, where is money going to go? To where it's treated best. That's where it goes. It might take a detour along the way, but money always winds up where it's treated best. So now the money people have come in and said, there's something called sustainable finance. And that's what
my gosh. Mm-hmm. To be continued.
So we can talk about this is more involved than the time we have right now. But you got to think about it. You've got the top 4 accounting firms. They're in on this, working with organizations. You're starting to hear terms when you go into CNBC. You hear a term called ESG. They talk about what are the ESGs.
Okay, now
we want to talk about what that is. We can talk about it in another program. But the ESG portion is very important.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a workshop with just you two. And you're going to tell us in depth all about it, because it's going to take us 3 years to get through all of these, coming back here once a month. And I can't wait that long. I have to know more, and I have to know it now. And I'm sure everybody else is too. I mean, you're just dropping nugget after nugget after nugget about what we need to know that we don't know. No one's teaching this.
That's correct.
No one is. So I'm grateful for you all to be able to spend the time here with us, to be able to share these nuggets. I appreciate you so much. We'll see you next month from now, but we're going to talk about our plan to put together something more cohesive for people who really want to take a deep dive as well. So Carl Tutt, Integrating Green Technology CEO, Sterling Laylock, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here as usual.
Thank you.
I appreciate you very much. Well, that does it for me. I'm Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire. I want to thank my team. I want to thank IW supervising producer, Chris Green, technical producer, and Indie DJ, our announcer, and Black Tea, the moderator, and Josana. So remember always to let your eyes shine, cut back on the wine, get good food fast, and go easy on the greasy. Until next time, I'm Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire, here to help you attain and maintain your perfect health. Let's do it again next week, okay? God bless you.